Dave.
So do you want me to jump in with my car spotting?
Well, no, we've begun.
intro us?
I had an opener, but everybody, David Obuchowski is here to ruin my opening. What car did you see in Denver today, David Obuchowski of the Tempest podcast and various writings and musical projects?
So I was in my 1989 Peugeot 405 MI16.
Let me. This is the first I'm hearing about this. Let me see.
Yes, David owns a Peugeot.
Okay. Let's back up for a second. I don't know if you guys know this.
P-E.
So my daily driver is the Peugeot, and so let me just so people understand. When I talk about daily driver, I'm not trying to stretch the truth here. Let me tell you what I was doing in my Peugeot today. Okay, dropped my daughter off at ballet. Dropped my son off at his friend's house, went to King Super, came home, unloaded the groceries, picked up my daughter from ballet, went to the bank. All right. These are the sorts of things that the Peugeot is used for. So this truly is, grocery getter every day, taking to school, taking to friend's house, to activities kind of thing.
So that's 6 errands and how many breakdowns?
Mechanical and emotional. We need both numbers. Yeah.
I was just going to ask for that distinction there because, definitely there was no mechanical breakdowns, but certainly a few emotional. Okay. So actually I had to pop into Aurora on Colfax for something. So I'm driving in I'm on Colfax. I'm headed west and sort of at a red light in front of me, I see this car and I'm like, is that a Peugeot way up at the red light? Could that be a 505?
Whoa.
Because it's the sort of same size. The taillights look sort of similar. I don't think it probably is, but there's a chance, but I know it's something interesting. Mm-hmm. So I get right up to it and I realize and I don't know how many of these things I've seen in person. I saw one in England once, and I'll probably get the numbers and letters wrong. BMW 635 CI?
CSI?
CSI.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really cool car.
Yes, that's an amazing car.
And just beautiful red. Was so relieved because it wasn't slammed. Mm-hmm. And I had this fear for a second. This person slammed it. I got right up next to it and gave him a little honk of the horn, and we gave each other a look. Yeah, that's it, the red one. Okay. And it was just this mutual look of just like, oh yeah. And I mean, let me tell you guys, our cars, although that's a coupe, right? Mm-hmm. And mine's a sedan, it's got to be the same size. I mean, it was like 2 micro machines on Colfax, just overrun with pickups and SUVs, and there are these 2 little European cars next to each other.
Yeah, because your car competed with the 5 Series of the day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the 6 Series, this was the coupe version of the 5 Series, basically.
Yeah.
What a beautiful car that is.
That's gorgeous. I love the greenhouse on it, and I've seen there's one in Denver. It might be the same one, but I know there's one in Denver with clear glass, and I think these with clear glass look absolutely amazing because that greenhouse is just so huge and the pillars are so tiny.
I know. And this definitely had clear glass. This was red clear glass. Yep.
I think I may have seen that same one before.
Oh, it's just absolutely. And just awesome. Just, I mean, it was such a cool sighting. And I mean, it made me realize and you guys will know this better. Why don't we see more of these on the road?
Oh, these are expensive now. These are
these are very expensive.
Especially the CSI. The CSI is really sought after.
This one went on Cars and Bids for over $30,000. Yeah. And I don't know if they have the same kind of graph thing that Bring a Trailer does, but these will routinely fetch 40,
60,
50.
70.
Yeah. In good shape. And I mean, unfortunately I think it's rust. It's the demon that so many of us fight. Not that it's not well made. It's just that I think that a lot of these, rust comes for everything eventually, even in Colorado.
So tell me about this. Is this like a straight 6?
Yeah.
And this is there's no turbo on this, or does this have a turbo?
Mm-hmm.
Or what?
No, just an inline 3.4 liter. Yeah.
It would have been the same that was in the 535. So it's like it's basically the same car as the 535, but the coupe. And then the CSI was like the sportier version.
What a great design. I mean, there's something just, actually, there's something slightly Maserati-esque about it, the design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the 80s kind of, it's got that sort of great marriage of boxy, but angular and aggressive and
yeah. I think this is probably a little bigger than the biturbo of the same era, but it got the same sort of proportions and all that,
and the same stance, kind of aggression, like that. The front of the hood lip hanging over, like kind of giving you that that overbite. Is very...
Also, have you ever seen the CSIs where with the Euro bumpers, the CSI, a 635 CSI with the Euro bumpers is like so great because it really accentuates that front.
Oh, wow.
Like overhang. Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Like that. Yeah.
That's
oh my God.
Yeah. I love that. I love that moment when you see something and you just know it's a thing you need to investigate further.
Yes.
Friend-shaped. It's friend-shaped.
Yeah, yes. I'm right. Exactly. I'm just like, okay, wait, what are these taillights? What is this? I got to get next to it. I know this is something interesting. And boy, it was a great payoff.
That's awesome. And I love that they were stoked on seeing your Peugeot because know that they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that was sort of around Colfax and Syracuse. And it's funny because about 6 months ago, I was at Colfax and Quebec, and I'm in the Peugeot, and shockingly, I'm at a red light, and I'm watching these cars going, the opposite direction, across, and there's a 505 wagon.
Really?
Nice.
And I was like,
was it white?
No, it was gray, and it was beat to shit. Clearly being used every day to haul plywood and, quick greet and all that stuff. It was just like someone's work vehicle. And I was like, oh, hell yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I Colfax. I mean, say what you will about it.
No, it delivers many, many things. Yeah. David Obuchowski is obviously joining us on the show again this week. Returning guest, one of our absolute favorites, David. It's so amazing to talk to you. We're so lucky to just have you locally to us. We're so lucky to know you, and we're so thankful for all the stuff that you've been working on lately. And yeah, we had to have you back on the show. I just got a text today from our buddy Mark that sends us vanity plates and is an old friend of mine. Saying that he appreciated us shouting you out on the last podcast, and he's digging the show. So everybody absolutely needs to listen to what I think is the best automotive podcast, Tempest.
Yes, absolutely.
Guys, you rule. And also, it's so great to be here. And I want to, first of all, tell you, I've been bragging all day that I'm coming on your show. Because everybody who listens, I just wanted to dinner
the same people he tells about his Peugeot. Anyone that'll listen,
AKA everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was out to dinner with a friend tonight, and I was just like, these guys are the best. They're super funny. They play off each other great. They're such a great mix of like knowledge and comedy, and they know how to ask questions. They keep conversational, anyways, and it should be noted, of course, that your support goes beyond just having me on the show or saying nice things. This season, the third season of Tempest, it is really like thanks to the community. And, every year it's been or every season it's been a different thing. The first season was, that was like, that was big corporate money.
Right.
That was Univision that funded my first season,
which is so wild to think of. Yeah.
And the second season was some change that Acast found underneath the couch cushions, I think, of their break room.
And now you've hit rock bottom with funding.
I got smart. The third season, I approached just local businesses and organizations, but you guys stepped in because I think you really believed in the show.
Oh.
And so it means the world. So thank you so much for that. So this third season is thanks, in part to you guys as well.
There's a few things that motivate us to kind of put our money where our mouth is, right? Like, I think that oftentimes it's really important to show appreciation and support for anything that you find that somebody is doing in the creative space in any way that you can, whether it's just like, even just like retweeting or, like talking to somebody about it, anything like that, buying their products. There are things like, putting money towards that stuff. And then also the biggest factor for me was humor. I just think it's so freaking funny, and I don't know why that a podcast is sponsoring another podcast.
I know. Yeah.
And I think we're probably gonna sponsor another one. I don't know.
I thought that was great. I get such a kick out of that too.
Yeah. They're already listening to podcasts.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a genius thing. It's basically like that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where they do the Sunny's the Patty's bucks, and they just keep passing the money around and around and around. They're like, well, how do we get money out of this?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is something Madoff-esque about it. Like,
yes.
At the end of the line.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Just trust this, guys. If you just listen to all the episodes,
I'll just keep sponsoring.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It'll make sense soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
the worst prosperity gospel ever.
Totally.
Yeah. You will wind up with a leaking, broken down car. Yes.
Yeah.
And lo, he did like, share, and subscribe.
Yes. Well, yes, Tempest season 3 has absolutely been keeping us entertained. We're all caught up. Yeah, so tell us about kind of like what pushed you towards creating season 3 of Tempest, because like I feel like this is the kind of, from what I'm hearing, this is the kind of stuff that like these are the stories you just need to tell.
Yeah, I mean, so it had been a while since Tempest season 2, but I felt like that there were just I kept coming across stories where I was like, man, that'd be a great Tempest episode. Man, that'd be a great Tempest episode. And it's never been just sincerely speaking, it's never been about making money. Each episode takes about 100 hours to produce. So it does cut into a lot of work time.
Yeah.
So I do need to at least justify some of that time. And so I think it was a matter of this past year has been a little challenging in a few different ways. But I think it's been positive in that it's allowed me to reflect on sort of what's important. And there's been a few things that I've been like, yeah, you know what? Like, there's a lot of things that I want to do, a lot of bullshit that I want to, pay attention to. I mean, and look, we're all, I'm not just talking about endeavors, but you think about things like, I'm going to spend my evenings watching a TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. And it's like, well, okay, that's an hour or that's 2 hours, depending on, how long the episodes are, how many episodes you watch. And it's like, there's a certain point where I think you start taking stock of all these things, and you're like, whether it's a creative endeavor or whether it's just sort of how I spend my idle time, like, what do I really need to get back to? Because that's important. And it very quickly became apparent that Tempest is an important thing.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think a lot of people just feel like. I think the reaction I get from Tempest is that people are like, even if it's not their story, they're like, you're still telling my story because I relate to this aspect of it. And it was on a book tour for the children's book that my wife and I did together. And I was on in New Jersey where I grew up, and I was by myself, and an old friend of mine who I got back in touch with had organized some readings at a school, and it was great. She did me a huge favor by doing that. We went out to dinner, and even though I knew her, this was the first episode of Tempest, but of season 3, she offhandedly mentioned how, oh, did I ever tell you I drove an ice cream truck?
That's how the first episode of season 3 came to be?
Yeah. And so we're sitting there at dinner. We're at this fancy restaurant, and she used to work for like maybe 60 Minutes or something like that. I think she was like a producer for Dan Rather, and now she's working for another film company. So we started talking about sort of, I'm like small fry, like, oh yeah, documentary stuff. Yeah, I get it. And she's like doing this big stuff. And we were talking about our experiences, and I was talking about Tempest. And I'm like, I just love these stories. And she mentioned this sort of ice cream truck thing. And then the more she talked about it, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like,
it's getting dropped in your lap.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sitting there like there's sea bass, finely prepared sea bass in front of me. And she's across from me, and she's talking about my old friend who she dated. I didn't really even remember. And they were both ice cream truck drivers, and there was a huge turf war. And I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, I need to be in production on Tempest last month. Like,
right.
Someone needs to start. I need to get this machine started and quick. And I made her promise. Yeah.
That's so great. And for anyone who hasn't heard that episode, it is fantastic. I think that's my favorite so far of the 3 seasons. Was that one? Because it is so very like, because when I've described your show to other people, I've said it's This American Life, but with cars.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is the most This American Life, but with cars episode of the 3 seasons, I think. And it's so great. And it's so well reported, like the depth of reporting that you do. Because I've thought before, like, why hasn't anyone copied that format? Because really no one has. And I think it's what you mentioned before, that it takes like 100 hours an episode. Like, like nobody's doing that for free except for someone who's really passionate about it, right? Or nearly free, right? So, but I really want to know with that episode, I know I'm sidetracking us, but has she heard it? And did she have, like, I'm guessing she had like a personal reaction to it, like it was fun to hear my story that way, but did she have like a 60 Minutes professional notes for you or anything?
Well, so I got a reaction from both her and Brian, the other ice cream truck driver,
right.
And I think this is so good. I'm going to have to read you the text.
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. So this comes from Brian.
Okay.
And he sent a group text. Now, keep in mind, Brian and Meredith are both married to different people, their own families. They're not in touch anymore.
But they're exes. Yeah.
They're exes. I mean, not in any bad way, but know. Yeah. But he actually sent a group text, and he said, listened again last night with his wife. I won't mention her name. Can I just say there is one part I demand a retraction / correction on? Quote, it's hard to say who the winner of this turf war was. No, it was not. We won, damn it. And then Meredith wrote back, I mean, this is just a fact. And then they like this thread goes on and on. They loved it.
That's great.
And I kept, without spoiling anything, you guys know the last act of that brings in an additional character.
Yeah,
and
so great.
They had no idea that was going to happen.
Oh, that's so good.
So when I was like, hey, the episode's up, Meredith's reaction was essentially, oh, I'm really nervous. I don't like hearing my own voice. And then listened to it and was like, whoa. And I can't believe that, the ending.
Yeah.
But there was no way. I had finished that episode way before the season premiered. And I just was like, it can't be done until I track down this other character or someone related to them.
Yeah.
Because it just needs this other voice in it.
Yeah, that one more thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say there was some great stuff on the cutting room floor. Brian, in my interviews with him, talked about how, and it's just, I could not figure out a way to fit this in. He was driving an ice cream truck. Might have been the same summer. The brakes went out.
Oh, no. Okay.
And he's going down a hill and the brakes give out. And I think he said, so he's going down the hill and there's a right turn that goes sort of up a hill. And he's just like, I'm going so fast, there's no way I can make the turn tight enough. Like, I'm going to cut into the left lane and there's nothing I could do about it, but just pray there's not like another car coming. And navigated it, like coasted the thing up the hill and even like into a driveway. This God. Just like, imagine he's like, I stepped on the brakes and they just like to the floor.
He avoided the most delicious accident ever.
Right. And I think he texted me and he was like, I can't believe you didn't use that. And I was like, dude, I would love to, but
yeah.
I was telling a true crime, basically a true crime story.
Yeah. On top of that, like, people may not understand how dense New Jersey streets are. Like,
oh yeah, and hilly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so incredibly hilly. Like, my dad's from there. And like just the New Jersey Turnpike and like the entrance ramps are 3 feet long.
Yeah,
and you have to go 60 miles an hour right then. Yeah, so like this is not like you don't have the luxury of space in an ice cream truck when you lose the brakes. Yeah. It becomes a disaster quick.
Yeah. But I think, Brian's stories, those were great. Meredith's commitment to how much she loves ice cream is one of my favorite parts about that episode. She's so transparent about how her desire to drive an ice cream truck was really just motivated by her love for ice cream.
Yeah.
not driving.
Hey, right? Life is short, man. Go for what you like. Right?
Yeah.
Go for what you love, right?
Not only am I the owner, I'm also a customer.
Totally. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. No, the season has been amazing, David.
Thank you.
We were very thankful to connect you with our buddy Eric from the Flag Time podcast for
my God,
his episode. It's just you have these wonderful ways of just really connecting people. And it's that thing where it just happens to be over cars. There just happens to be a car there, and there's things about it that pop up that anyone can enjoy. Anybody can love these episodes. It's so easy to fall in love with. It's such a great show.
Well, and I listened to the one about the personal one of yours today. While I was cooking dinner, I listened to the one where you interviewed other people about what they thought about your car. And I just love that at the top, you were like, I'm going to be selfish this episode. And you couldn't help yourself. You still chased all these little like story nuggets down and ended up getting some like great things out of people in that episode too.
I think, well, thank you. And I mean, the ice cream truck is among my favorite, but that episode, Identity, the episode 3.
Mm-hmm. 3, I think.
Yeah. May end up being my favorite because I really enjoyed how it made some people reminisce.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I think the third act in that, the sort of strange circumstance, meeting the guy in the parking lot,
Yes,
and having him over. And I had just met this guy, and I don't know if you noticed when he's talking about his father selling his car. I mean, he just starts crying.
Yeah.
And it's just a very, very tender, beautiful, like, moment where it sounds so corny, but again, it's like you talk to people, you share this sort of love, you know, like, okay, you love cars, I love cars, we appreciate cars beyond just a mechanical level.
I would like to point out that on top of like really digging to this, like this such intimate moment, like you're Obuchowskiing the audio of this and like the presentation of it so well. Like I noticed the way that you like delicately panned left to right when he was kind of going from point to point about like, you know, different facets of his cars and the different cars. Like it's like these little production touches that you put in, like they show so much love for what you're making.
Thanks.
And like that stuff does not go unnoticed, David. Like that is fantastic. And so I was very curious for anybody else who might be from like an audio production and like how, the creativity standpoint, like when you're looking to kind of like enhance this kind of stuff, like what things, and you know, for anybody who doesn't know, you have a wonderful discography of your own of music that you have written, produced, recorded. Like what things do you think like have carried from like music production into your podcast work? And like, I mean, what do you think like your podcast work would maybe give back to like what you do musically?
Yeah, I mean, so I do think that there's a lot of musicality to it, right? I mean, when I'm recording, and I record music a lot still, I do think that there's something really, you know, when you're listening to something and there's a guitar track straight up the middle and it's really good riff, and then it goes to a new thing, and then all of a sudden it becomes really lush and you hear it from both sides, or you hear two different parts, that the sort of the dynamics there really are like, I think elevate the experience. And I think I really love the recording process of music, and I like those moments. You know, I love the catharsis of performing live. That seems to me more of a visceral experience. The actual recording, I think, is great because there are these moments where you can, in some ways, manipulate time. Because when you start playing with dynamics, the sense of time changes. And so what I mean by that, specific to what you're referencing with that episode, is that he was really quite, that whole discussion of all of his cars that he had actually went on for a very long time.
A car person talked for a long time?
You'd be shocked. Yeah. And I kept, you know, my initial approach was, okay, how do I just sort of trim this down into, you know, each car sort of a chunk that's digestible. And then it still felt very flat. And then I went and I defaulted to my music self. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay. What if I sort of turn this into a song in a way? And it's less about, because who really cares? Like, I mean, we're going to get the gist no matter what.
Right.
But like, what if it's more of a song? I mean, that's what this guy is doing. He's singing a song about his life with cars, right? And so I'm going to have it sort of fade one into the other, and it's going to go left and right, left and right, left and right, and then it's going to come back out through the center into this one thing. And so it became more of an exercise in musicality than it did in sort of reportage, you know? Because, like, you know, people don't necessarily need to hear every detail about each and every car. So I do think that the music production really kicked in a lot there.
It was so immersive, and like I was just like front row at a fantastic tennis match, like just like every like point like just kept engaging me more and more, and I was like, oh, wait a second, the fact that I'm listening to this with headphones right now is really bringing it out, you know? Yeah.
And then you have that moment where he imitates the engine sound, right?
Yes.
And you're just like, oh, well, that's music, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, listen to the cadence of his voice and has like the passion as he's going on, and it's picking up. And then all of a sudden he gets so into it where he can't help but just literally like, I'm going to make the engine noise now. And you're just like, as like an audio person, I'm like, well, I'm not cutting that out. Like, I'll cut out all the other shit. You know?
Yeah.
Well, and I think I love that part of the episode too so much because it sort of like proves your thesis of the whole episode, which is like, this is more than a hunk of metal, right? That like it inspires all these other things and all these other thoughts and stuff like that. And I like how you kind of like snuck that in, you know, under the pretense of like, let's see what people think about my car, like roast my car sort of, but really it's about like these things have an emotional connection to us and it's a real phenomenon. And you basically prove that with, you know, you prove your thesis that you started out with at the brewery with that interview.
Yeah, with a stranger that you met in a parking lot.
Which you probably shouldn't have invited into your home. Let's be clear.
Yeah, some people you could just tell right away.
Yeah.
And I loved that there were those people at the brewery. There was one woman, Maggie, who said something along the lines of like, and what's this word on the side of the car? And I was like, Peugeot. And she's like, great. And what language is that? I was like, French. And she's like, uh-huh. And what is that? Is that like, is that the kind of car it is where it's just like, and then she's also just like, I mean, I imagine you just got this because it was available. And it's like, yeah, I know, it's my dream car. And she's like, oh, and then you have these other people, you know, who are just like, oh my God, you know,
right?
It's, I think it's fascinating to get the, I don't know. It made me wonder why I was like, man, why haven't I done this before? Like,
right.
You know,
oops, all Peugeot episode. Yeah.
I wish I had done it with the Alpha.
Right.
Which was uglier and weirder even.
They would have seen the diamond plating inside and been like, eee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that so you could hose your victim's blood off easier? Or
everyone would have been like, this is the strangest BMW I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
absolutely.
This season is amazing, man. You're hitting it out of the park, David. It's so fantastic. Yeah. I think that like just seeing it, just being on the sidelines and seeing it come, you know, seeing the episode show up in the feed has been so, it's just like, it's made us so happy. And so we're thankful that it's out there, that you're doing more. And it's just great. Like it is our, like a mental podcast sanctuary. Right?
Oh,
like,
thank you.
Yeah. You and I were texting a little bit ago about like kind of like some things, you know, some stuff going on in your life. And I think like, speaking of like sanctuaries, the fact that like your Peugeot is oftentimes a sanctuary for you to kind of like step away, as I feel like your podcast is for a lot of other folks to kind of step away and to get into these moments where you're not really thinking about much else. You have this nice thing to focus on in your ears or in front of you. Would you mind talking to us a little bit about kind of like how your Peugeot has like been that sanctuary or kind of like that source of kind of like a restoration or, you know, things like that recently?
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the question too. And also, I also appreciate your personal involvement in it, because you've helped me with my Peugeot a few times. And I think in the beginning of my ownership with it, you know, my Peugeot is no less precious now than it ever has been. But there's definitely a fear about like, you know, what if this stops working and no one will work on it? And I particularly remember, I'm going to go into like another deep thing here, personal thing, which I wrote about in an episode or in an essay, excuse me. that I don't know if it came across, but I was having a major problem with the Peugeot, and it required like disassembling most of the front end, which was really, really just even doing that was like a frightening, upsetting thing.
And it didn't make it easy for you. The French did not make it easy for you.
No,
yes.
not at all.
That needs to be said.
Yeah. And it was the sort of Colorado end of winter. We don't have spring here. We have sort of, the sort of liminal space between winter and summer. Mm-hmm. And so it's either hot or just freezing cold. And it was that time of year. And I had sort of hit an impasse and was sort of a mix of like my skills as a mechanic are maxed out, and my fear for fucking up my car just is completely, my capacity for that is maxed out. And you came over and we spent like a whole night trying to get the bumper off.
Yeah.
Like a very basic thing. I mean, there's so many other parts that were already off at that point, but it was just like, oh shit, the bumper's going to need to come off. And we ended the night without it being off. And I was very close to a panic attack, if not having one completely. And you just sort of looked at me and were like, David, it's nuts and bolts. Like I know you love this car, but it's nuts and bolts. And you really sort of grounded me in that moment. And I went out the next day and I got it done. And it was just this like great moment. I mean, that night, it was like nearly midnight. It was so cold. You could see the breath. There's like the rain was dripping through the roof of my garage. And I was like, this is never going to work. It's never going to happen. I've ruined my car. Mm-hmm. It will never, it's like Humpty Dumpty. It'll never be put back together again. And you just sort of looked at me and saw that I was panicking and said, it's nuts and bolts. And the next morning I woke up, did some work, and as my first break, I put the coveralls on, I went outside and I got it done and was just like, holy shit, it's nuts and bolts. He was right.
I need to hear that myself so many times. I get spun up. Like we can be our own worst enemy with these things. Yeah. And having it be your daily driver adds a whole nother layer of pressure that I think a lot of people can relate to, in that they may want to modify their car. They may want to work on their car, but they don't have the space. It is their daily driver. And so I think that it has the potential to be this stress point in a lot of people's lives, unfortunately, right? As much as we love these things, like they can bring us some real pain and real suffering, right? Like financial problems, like we can get backed into difficult mental, financial, etc. places because of this.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
Well, and it's basically the flip side of what we were talking about earlier, right? Where there's all this like positive emotional connection that we have with our cars, but that comes with a cost, right? Where you do have like, you do forget that at the base of it is nuts and bolts, like Dave said, but like, you can get wrapped up in what it represents, like your ability to get to work, your ability to get your kids to school, your financial stability, whatever, or even just your emotion for it. And like, what if I screw up this thing that I love?
Right. But, I do, to get back to your original question, I mean, I think one of the things that the Peugeot has become for me is, first of all, it is always been my dream car. And when I lived in New York for nearly a decade, every morning I woke up in New York and I thought, I live in New York. And I grew up 20 miles outside of New York City. So it's not like I came from a faraway place and this is like, where I grew up, you could see the skyline. And yet, living in New York itself, it was never lost on me. And there's something similar about having the Peugeot where I'm like, every day I think to myself, like, fuck, I have a Peugeot. I have a Peugeot 405 MI16. And I love it. And I use it. Yeah. And I sold my Alpha for almost the same amount of money I bought this thing for. And I don't have a car payment on it. So when it does require money, like, it's okay. And It doesn't that much, honestly. Like, for all we joke about the Peugeot, like, it's rescued our Prius more than our Prius has rescued the Peugeot, which is crazy. And the other thing is, I think letting go of it being perfect. When I first got it, I was, it was ready for sale and it was perfect, or it was near perfect. And then, you get that check engine light and you sort of start chasing down the gremlins and you start playing whack-a-mole with it. And I guess I've reached a point now where I'm like, you know what? It's a 35-year-old French car. And like, I'm going to deal with the things that need to be dealt with, and I'm not going to sweat the other stuff. And the other stuff, in fact, will be an opportunity for me to have some fun and learn some stuff. So rather than feel like, oh no, there's a gremlin, I must make this my mission now to fix it, and that means taking the car apart if I need to. Instead, it's like, does this need to be addressed right now? If not, I'm going to wait till a time when it can be addressed, and when maybe I can make it a thing with me and my kids, or just on my own, and I can feel good about myself and learn something and have some fun with it. There was a situation this summer where it was like, I need to redo the fuel injection system. And I did that. And it was hugely rewarding. The car needed it. Like, it was a necessary thing.
That's amazing. And I got it done. Dude, nice job, man.
Yeah. And I was like, there was a point where I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm just like doing the fuel injection now. Like, I've come a long way. And, I taught my daughter how to pull codes from the primitive computer. So Peugeot made, of course, its own proprietary thing.
Oh, tell us about this. Yeah.
This is pre OBD, right?
Yeah.
Pre OBD2.
Yeah.
And you had to have a Peugeot reader in order to get the codes, but there's a way to hack into it to get the codes.
Hack in the Gibson. Okay.
Yeah.
And you do it by taking a length of wire, and you've got the two leads, and you stick one into the sort of test port, and then the other you run through the car and you put it on the ignition, the metal ring around the ignition, and you turn the key to the on position, and then the check engine light will flash sort of rapidly, 1, 2, 3, and then pause, and then it'll give you, like, say 1, and then pause, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, and that means 15.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry, you said it means what?
15, like 1 and 5.
Gotcha.
And there's a sort of a start code, end code, 1, 2, 3 flash, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it will prioritize sort of what the most pressing code is, or whatever.
Okay. It's sorting by ascending. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's great because my daughter was like 9 when we started doing this, and she's like there at the thing, and she's writing down the codes, and it's pretty cool because then you get a sense, you're like, okay, this thing is throwing a lot of codes at me, but a lot of them are just like pretty minor.
Yeah. She's like, my dad's car taught me Morse code.
Yeah. So we address the major things, and then, you drive around, you're like, it's okay. Check engine light comes on every once in a while, but I know what that code is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's some bullshit. Doesn't need to be dealt with.
That's great.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And you guys will appreciate that there's a kid in her class. So my daughter is now 10. She's in 5th grade. But this happened when she was in 4th. She was in 4th grade, and there's a kid in her class, and he was a car guy. And he said he's in Lambos. And what did he say? He said something like, he had some phrase, which she came home from school and she goes, he says, Ferraris are for when you want to be someone.
Oh, yeah.
Lamborghinis are when you are someone, or something like that.
Yeah.
Something. which I was like, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, that's amazing. So I pick her up from school one day, and I was like, Alma, help me. I think at the school, I'm like, I got to check engine light. I want to get the codes on this. So she's helping me get the codes. And this kid and his mom pull up right next, and he's looking at the car, and he's like, whoa, cool. And he says to Alma, he goes, how many V's does that have?
Yes.
And Alma goes, doesn't have any V's. It's just a 4-cylinder. It's like an inline 4. And he goes, yeah, but how many V's? Is it like does it have 8 V's? Something like that. And Alma was like, it doesn't have any V's. I just loved that. I was like, this is amazing. Like,
Yes.
That's really funny.
Yeah. This kid is learning a lesson, but he doesn't know it yet.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Has that kid gotten into crypto yet? Because that seems like
Yeah.
Yeah. He's my boss now.
yeah. He demands I call him the Rizzler, and I don't know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about my guys my run-in with the Lamborghini guy at King Super?
No, let's hear it.
So this
Do tell.
is going back. This is when I had my Alpha.
Mm.
And it was just before I sold it. And so of course I'm pulling in the King Super to do my grocery shopping, and here's a brand new Lamborghini, and I'm like, oh, I got to pull up next to this guy. We got to get some pictures together. You know, the two Italians.
My fellow Italian car.
Yeah.
Right.
And this guy, I was like, hey, do you mind if we take some pictures of our cars? And he clearly has no idea what my car is, does not give a shit what my car is, does not care. And he's mainly just like, sure, of course you want a picture of my car. Sure.
Right.
So I'm taking pictures of it. And I was like, our cars are sort of cousins, both Italian. And he goes, oh, this is Italian? And I said, yes, this is an Alfa Romeo. And he goes, oh, and I go, yeah. And he's like, well, this is a Lamborghini. And then he shows me, the back, he lifts the back of it, and he loses 7 trillion horsepower and all this stuff. And he starts, going to show me the thing. And I go, well, and I lift the hood of mine. I go, this is a 2-liter, and 4 cylinders, naturally aspirated. And he looks down in the engine bay of my car, and he goes, I could not believe this is so perfect. He looks down in it, and he points at the oil cap, which says Oleo on it. And he goes, see, now your car has the same thing that mine does. And I've always wondered what this means. And I looked at him, my first reaction being like, he's joking, right? This is
Right.
like just a very funny, dry joke. And he's just looking at me straight faced. And I realized, okay, he's not joking.
Oh.
And I just go, it means oil. It's Italian for oil. And he goes, really? Like, thanks, Lamborghini guy.
Oh my God, that is so perfect.
Yeah.
The guy,
like,
yeah.
there you
No,
go.
it means oil. It means oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oleo.
Wow.
What's oleo mean?
Now there
On
is
the,
something
on the
that's
valve
the
cover,
same.
who would have thought? Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's amazing. But
Yeah.
let me lift the back of my car here and brag about all of the specs of this thing while not knowing what this oleo thing means.
Yeah. So to him, everything under his car hood is a flux capacitor.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
It's all
Absolutely.
science fiction. Yeah.
Yeah, you can put banana peels in it. It's
Which is fine. If you don't know how your car works, great. But then don't brag about it.
totally.
Right.
Yeah. It was a great moment.
I love that.
That's such a good. That's such a Lamborghini owner move too. It's
I
like,
know.
some people live their stereotypes really hard. You
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
man.
But I'm going to even the score here because I have a Ferrari guy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I have the Peugeot. Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm pulling out of my alley. and there's a beautiful Ferrari, like 350 GT or 388 GT, one of those things, like the Magnum PI.
Right. Oh, so like the kind of the 80s era.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a 308 sort of.
308. Thank you. I'm like, whoa. So I immediately, of course, follow it. And to my surprise, 2 blocks away, he bangs a right and he parks. And I pull up right next to him, and I roll down my window, and he looks over me, sort of annoyed. He rolls down his window, and I said, "Hey, beautiful car, love it." And he goes, "Yeah, I know."
Jesus Christ.
And I said, "Okay." So I said to him, "Geez, and I thought that I had the only rare car in the neighborhood." And he goes, "Yeah, I don't think so." And at that moment, I just wanted to be like, do you understand how many more of your car there are in Colorado than my car?
Right. And also how much faster my car is than your car.
Let's go to the DMV and pull registrations for Peugeot 405s versus Ferraris. There's a Ferrari shop like 20 minutes away from here.
Right.
Go buy a bunch of them.
Yeah, that bitch is spoiled with resources. Right. You're rubbing 2 sticks together to make fire, David.
So, I don't know. So I am partial to Ferrari, but on the other hand, I was like, Ferrari guy. Oh,
wow. Geez. That is peak Ferrari guy. Wow.
That's he probably didn't know what oleo meant.
He maybe.
Probably.
But that's the kind of person that like shuts down a community center in an 80s ski school movie. Like that's the bad guy. That's right. The save the cat thing that would happen in the screenplay that you're like, oh no, like the whole audience is on board. Fuck this guy. Right.
He would also say, I pay people to know what oleo means.
Right. Yeah. I don't need to know what oleo means. Yeah. Yeah, he would shut down that. Yeah, he would. What would he shut it down for, though? To make room for his cars, or for?
Oh no, he's putting up condos. He's putting up condos. Condos. Yeah, right. Yeah. God,
just the best.
Yeah.
You know what? People living their stereotypes really hard.
Yeah,
I think is an excellent transition into a license plate game.
Ooh. Yeah, we're
both segueing so hard tonight. We are crushing the segues. I put together a license plate game for you. It really has nothing to do with Peugeots or anything else that we're talking about.
Unfair.
But we're gonna do it anyway. Have you played? You've not. I think we started this after the last time you were on, if I remember right. So I don't think you've played this with us before. But basically, you're going to get 3 pictures of cars with their license plates blacked out, and then you're going to get the text of 3 vanity plates, and you have to match the vanity plate to the car.
This is what I'm talking about. You guys are brilliant.
This is all Dave. This is my favorite thing that we've come up with on the show.
Wait, before you even start, which one of you guys came up with the game where I had to come up with the worst possible meal to eat in my car while driving a stick shift?
That was probably in FMK cars.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And I think Ian and I collectively came up with that together on it. And that was kind of like the thing that made me think like, oh, we need to start a podcast.
Because I was telling my friends about that. And I was like, I can't remember if I said ramen noodle or if they said, no, you're wrong. It's ramen noodle. But no matter what, it sticks out. Anyways, okay, go on. License plate.
No problem. But to kind of, so I have not seen this either, David. So
okay.
You and I are both coming in cold on it. But yeah, so this is our license plate game. It absolutely rewards, like we were saying, gross generalizations and stereotypes and stuff like
Let's
that.
Do it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. And if you want to tell the folks listening what you're seeing, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This one's called Royal Flush, by the way.
Yes.
The name of this one.
So there seems to be I'm going to go from the bottom. There's a Hyundai
Yeah, Santa Fe. Yeah, Santa we'll do zoomies and enhancies. We'll do a round of zoomies and enhancies for sure, so we can lock in on some of these.
And the middle, it's a Honda Crosstrek?
I think it's a Cross Tour, a Honda Accord Cross Tour.
Yep.
Debadged.
I like those cars.
Debadged and or recently crashed.
Debadged. And then there's something else that's debadged up here in the top.
This is a sneaky one. This is a Buick, I think.
Oh,
is this a Buick Enclave or something like that, Ian?
I don't think so. I thought it was a Mazda, but I might be wrong.
Oh, I could see. Actually, my reaction had been Mazda. Can you zoom in?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we're up top. Zoom. Enhance.
Oh no, you're right. It is a Buick Enclave.
It's an Enclave.
Yeah.
Dave was right. And was it debadged or did the badge fall off?
Well, it's a Buick.
Yeah, this is General Motors adhesive, which we all know is not good. Yeah.
If you're going to debadge it, you're generally going to debadge it.
Yeah, you want to debadge your car? Leave it in the sun for 3 hours. It's what turned Ian's Saab Turbo X into a Saab Turbo X.
Oh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or one of the things we used to go on tour in, which was not a Sprinter van, but a Spinter van.
There you go. Yep. Okay. Mercedes adhesive. Yeah, similar.
Yes. So now I'll read the, if you'd like me to, I can narrate the, okay, so we have one Prince, but Prince is with the I is another one digit.
Mm-hmm.
Aspen QN, which I read as Aspen Queen.
That's how I read it.
I do too, yeah.
And then we have another Queen here. We have Is Queen, IS Queen.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a question. Is Queen?
Is Queen?
And none of these are a Lexus IS, so this gets complicated.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so I'm going to go with what I believe is the easiest.
Oh, okay, we're coming in. Okay.
Yeah, because I love the Cross Tour.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to.
Do you want to? We can also zoom in, and if you want to look for content, because there's some stickers and stuff.
Okay.
And then like this, I don't know. It took me a minute to realize, like, oh, this is either like been crashed or there's some creative like wrapping going on here or something, because there are a few different colored body panels here.
So I see it's got like a black rear. There's a silver spoiler.
Yeah.
Side panels.
Yeah, so the rest of the car is silver.
Yeah, the hatch and bumper have either been replaced or wrapped, and this silver spoiler is probably from the original, just guessing, from the original hatchback that was somehow crashed. And I love this, like this body clip missing from the taillight over on the left-hand side. Yeah.
Well, the taillight's cracked still.
Oh, yeah. Noticed. There you go. Yeah, that's not the reverse light down there.
See, you're rescuing me a little bit here, because I was going to say this was Aspen Queen, because I wanted the Cross Tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wanted the Cross Tour to be like, thing is going in the mountains. It's sort of,
right.
But now that you point this stuff out, this is Queen.
Okay.
This definitely is Queen.
Okay. Let's take a look at the Santa Fe real quick.
All right, the Santa Fe.
Yeah, we have some kind of like dog charity kennel club kind of sticker thing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is
it's like
I think I know what that I don't know if it's
This is an all-wheel drive 2.0 turbo.
Yes.
This seems like this could be Aspen Queen.
So that's what I'm leaning towards. Oh, look at the tail hitch cover. We have dogs on the trailer hitch cover here.
Yeah.
Some Goldens maybe. Okay. But I'm getting an Aspen Queen vibe from this myself.
Yeah, there's a Colorado plate, which is also, Aspen is in Colorado.
And the trees on the plate frame kind of look like aspens, like they have white trunks.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe.
I read that scanned to me as a floral print sort of thing, but I'm not sure. But you might be right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm the only thing that doesn't say Aspen. Wait, zoom back out.
Yeah,
we have
sure.
A ski rack on the.
Oh, good call. No roof rack. Good call, David.
Okay, That's the only point against it, but I'm still leaning toward, let's see. We don't have any ski racks.
No one has a roof rack, yeah.
Okay, so Aspen Queen Hyundai. Oh man, one Prince could be that ridiculous cross door. Shit. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. The heart sticker on the Enclave is Queen.
Oh, yeah. It has a crown on it. Good call. Yeah. Good call. Okay.
So I'm going in order from top to bottom. Is Queen, one Prince, Aspen Queen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm in on that.
Now, before we reveal the answers, I also have the other question. Because I will often, when I'm doing these games when Dave makes them for me, I will often come up with an entire narrative backstory for this person. Which one of these people would you most like to do a Tempest episode with?
I mean,
with just this information that you have in front of you.
I'm afraid it's a bit of a no-brainer for me. This doesn't require a lot of nuance because, first of all, I already love the Cross Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like two-tone because of apparently some wreck or something. And it's in all kinds of bad shape. And yet someone is still like, fucking vanity plate, obviously.
Right. Like, and I'm a Prince.
Yeah. And I'm still convinced this one says one Prince. Yeah. Like everything about, like, also the Cross Tour, I feel like it's just one of, like, was another attempt to introduce an actual interesting car into, I know it's not just the States, but I mean, let's face it, we're a big market and it failed.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a really kind of a cool car.
Yeah.
And, there should be way more of them and there isn't. I don't know. I would go with that one for sure. I'm not like Santa Fe and you like dogs or whatever. Not that interested.
You're like, I get it.
Yeah. It does what it says on the box, right?
You have a Buick Enclave when your Buick badge fell off. Yeah. That's not really a Tempest episode.
Right. I think you're right. I think the Cross Tour, to me, whenever I see one, I always have more questions than I have answers. Right? Yeah. After seeing it.
Like one of my closest friends, he actually plays bass in my band Distant Correspondent, which is defunct, but not officially broken up. But we have all kinds of projects together. And he's an amazing band called Prairie Wolf, who they've done all kinds of, they're getting really actually pretty buzzy. So if you're into like kind of weird avant-garde instrumental music, Prairie Wolf, they're on like Nervous Music or something, Nervous Records. I don't know. They've had 2 albums out now. They're awesome. Anyway, Tyler Wilcox, I'm going to out him as my good friend. He is like the longest running columnist for Pitchfork.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Wrote Lou Reed's obituary for New York Magazine. The guy's like awesome.
Wow.
Doesn't know shit about cars. Although he'll listen to me talk about them because he's a good friend. But his wife is like so into cars. And one of the first moments where I was like, okay, she's like way more into cars than I think she even realizes, is she was like, I'm trying to figure out between a Cross Tour and a Cadillac station wagon. And I was like, okay. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
like that's incredible. And
you are the one person cross shopping those 2 cars.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I was like, I mean, duh, both.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, she was like, I'm like trying to figure out between like a CTS wagon or whatever it was, and like a Cross Tour, and I was like, genuinely both rule. And so like I think when I think of Cross Tour, I think of people who are just like into weirdo shit.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. I want one and I want to slam it. I want it on airbags. I want it like dropped to the ground. Yeah.
No, I want to lift one just to offset your ridiculous slammed cross tour. I'm going to lift mine.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
All right.
We'll be a binary star of car part failures. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Is this the big reveal?
This is the reveal. All right. It's in the Dave's got to go in the Dave Don't Look folder.
I don't venture into here much. Okay, here we go. David?
You nailed it. You got it exactly right.
Well done.
Nice work. Nice work. And thank you, Ben, for Is Queen. And thank you, our good friend PETA, for Aspen Queen.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice work.
Is that a Colorado plate on one Prince?
Yeah. Yes. It's one of the black ones.
The black ones. God, now I really want to know about this.
Yeah.
If you or anyone anyone you know has a Honda Cross Tour with a one Prince vanity plate, please contact 720-515-1391.
But like, also, guys, it's subtle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the license plate holder is Nike.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's a whole lot going. I have many questions.
Yeah.
Also, I think that's like an external cell phone antenna thing.
Yeah,
right? On there, or a CB or something.
Yeah, that they've unscrewed the actual antenna part from. Yeah, that's like the seat for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are things happening here. And also, like, I think this bumper is a replacement bumper, but it is also scuffed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Right.
Yeah. We should say that, the replacement has had some issues. Yeah.
Right.
Do you,
and like,
you know,
the fairy's falling off? Yeah.
You know, the whole, like, sort of phrase when someone's like, you know, one person says you're an asshole, you know, but like three people say it, you have to start wondering about yourself.
Right. Yeah.
When you have to replace your bumper and then the replacements start getting scuffed too,
right.
At some point you have to start wondering, like, is it the driver behind you?
Right.
Or is it you?
Yeah. I think the phrase, the turn of phrase is basically like, if you meet one asshole in a day, you met an asshole. If you meet 20 assholes in a day, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
I also find it super interesting that this person is aspiring to be a step down in a tier of royalty.
Yeah.
Like that they're not king or queen. They're not aiming that high, but they want that Prince lifestyle.
Yeah.
Unless it's a music reference.
Well,
maybe that's what the antenna's for. They're running a pirate radio station out of the back of the
just Prince 24/7.
Yeah. Unless it's like a homonym and Prince is PRINTS, but that was taken.
they like Paisleys and Houndstooth. Yeah.
They're counterfeit bills. They're printing counterfeit bills in the back of the.
That sounds the most likely.
I want to add something here. I need to sanity check this with you guys. Is the Honda logo purple?
You know, it might be.
Oh my God.
Because if it is, I think this is the little man. Yeah. I think that this is referring to Prince, maybe.
Yeah, let me look something up. Oh yeah, this was the hearse for his funeral.
No.
I'm joking.
I mean, it was a small casket.
It does look like it could be purple.
It's a small casket. Oh my God.
Oh, that's.
I mean, you kind of think it would be the red H, but this is not a person who cares about that.
Right. They're not going type R.
Right.
They're going type purple.
Yeah. And also, let me ask a question. When was this photo taken?
That's a great question. This one, right?
I did take this one. Let me look.
Because
plate pictures.
I noticed the plate expired in October 23, and I'm willing to bet that this was definitely taken after it expired.
I'm trying to see if there's any other context clues. You know what?
I think I took that recently.
There is humidity.
I think I took this recently.
Purple rain.
There you go. Yeah. It's fantastic no matter what. I love that. I love that picture. And you knocked that out of the park.
Yes,
you did a great job.
You crushed.
If you're listening, Tempest episode.
And then you can hop on the Apex Adjacent episode to plug it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. We're a package deal now, bitches.
Patty bucks. You gotta keep these patty bucks in circulation.
Yes, right. Exactly.
Yeah, these podcast bucks. Yep. Nice. David, yeah, this is fantastic. Yeah, let's talk through some music stuff if you don't mind.
Sure.
So where can people find like your musical stuff that you've done?
Well, the bigger stuff. So my band's Goes Cube, Distant Correspondent, and Publicist UK. Publicist UK is probably at this point the biggest stuff. I mean, you can find it essentially anywhere, I guess, wherever you listen to music. Publicist UK had a song, The Needle Drop, in a episode of 13 Reasons Why.
Okay.
On Netflix in the second season.
Oh yeah, David.
Yeah.
And but the big news, which this is the first time this is being announced actually in any official capacity, is so Publicist UK.
Let's not call us official because we are.
You are very official.
Not official.
Very official. The Publicist UK record came out in 2015, and the second album I wrote. So we went on tour all 2015, 16, and 17 in the US and Europe. And then I wrote the second album, and there were some just general stuff that sort of happened. Our drummers in Municipal Waste and a bunch of other bands, our bass players in Revocation, which is a huge death metal band. So just dealing with everyone's schedules was just wild, very difficult. So I ended up using songs from that, what should have been the second album, for another project, and then wrote another second album. And we are going to put it out this year.
Oh, nice. Snap. Okay.
And I can tell you, like, it's really special. It is definitely like, if you like the first album, to me, I'm really proud of the first album. The first album is like, this is what Publicist UK is. There's not a lot of nuance. The second record is just all nuance. It's really, really, I kind of can't believe it. And it's very, very stripped down. So keep sort of, and we're going to be putting that out at least digitally on my own label that I started last year.
Okay.
Which is called Moth Hospital Records. And I did put out a solo record last year called under the name Bitter Cold.
Oh, I missed that. I haven't listened to that yet.
I have. It is like RZA says about Liquid Swords. Like, it is a winter album, man. Like, it is the album you should be listening to during winter when you want that cold feeling, when you, like, there is snow hitting your face when you listen to this thing.
My wife made a comment, like, after 2 or 3 songs, that she was just like, it's upsetting. It's like almost too upsetting to listen to.
Yeah.
It's really, really raw, but I'm really proud of that one. So Bitter Cold is the name of that one. It's on Bandcamp. Moth Hospital. Mirrors is the name of the record.
Yeah.
So the Publicist record will be coming out on Moth Hospital. Vinyl, maybe on another label.
Okay.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And Goes Cube has actually been working on some new stuff. We got together, and it's like heavier and more brutal than ever.
That's what I want to hear, man.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear.
Just massively brutal stuff. We got together in a house in the woods for like 4 days and just like it was crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. In New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So more of that.
Nice, man. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's great. And then also like upcoming Tempest. So right now you have 4 episodes of season 3 out. Is there anything you want to tease for the later episodes that are coming out? Anything special that you're like really excited for people to hear?
Well, maybe this is a good time to kind of talk about the Crohn's thing.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I had been expecting to finish the season that's sort of all in one shot. And I have Crohn's disease, and I was diagnosed when I was, I think, about 14 years old, although I do not remember a time in my life when I wasn't struggling with stomach issues.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really difficult condition to have, especially like in middle school and high school. And when you're, I always say, like, if you broke your arm, you'd wear a cast and you wouldn't be embarrassed by that. But with Crohn's disease, you're like, it's like things like diarrhea and all that. It's like not the kind of stuff you want to be talking about a lot. And it's been a difficult thing to deal with. And in my case, to keep under control. And I have, I've been outrunning surgery for a while. Some medications have sort of helped. I've never been in remission my entire life. And this December, I went to get was supposed to be a very small resection, about 5 centimeters, about 2 inches cut out, of my intestine, which was scar tissue. Just couldn't be helped by medication. It was sort of irrevocably turned into scar tissue, posing a bigger threat, because it could, it was already obstructing things. It could fully obstruct things. When they cut me open, they realized they had to take out 1.5 feet.
Whoa.
Oh, wow, David. Okay.
In 2 different spots. So I was in the hospital for much longer, and there were a few complications. So there's been a delay in the in Tempest. I expected to be sort of kind of very productive in December. I was in the hospital 3 different times. Actually, the last time I was in the hospital I didn't get out until the night of Christmas Eve. So I just barely made it home to my family for Christmas. So I'm definitely behind, and I'm still in the process of, I have an appointment this Thursday. I'm still going through some things. So unfortunately there's a delay.
Sure.
And I have a lot of raw audio for the other episodes. It's not like I don't know where they're coming from. But I'm reluctant to sort of talk about what episodes I have the most hope for, because when I'm editing them is when they really start to come to life.
Sure.
And again, I think it comes down to that musicality we were talking about.
Yeah.
So I can talk to you about, like, their stories about, a person whose parents fell asleep at the wheel and the impact it had on her life, and the story about the mobile car wash and detailing people and what they see.
Okay.
Really interesting stuff. But I don't know yet until I'm really into it. I've even considered doing an episode called Short Stories, where they're a series of just that, vignettes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think this season has been really fun in terms of really exploring what Tempest can be. I think it's been a sort of a return to more personal stories compared to the second season. And so anyways, it's been a challenging last month, and I'm going to be getting back into it, but it's going to take a little longer than I had hoped.
Yeah.
Well, man, we're both super happy that you're doing better. And also, thank you for sharing that with us. Cause I think, especially, I don't know, people hear podcast things and it's hard to, people, I think, forget that there are real people on the other end of those.
Yeah.
With lives and crazy
kids
complications,
and jobs and health and like the surface area of everything you have to manage just being a person in general. But then on top of that, right, dealing with Crohn's, dealing with your recovery. Yeah, we're absolutely pulling for you for sure.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think like I really do mean this. People who have Crohn's disease, anyone who's listening to this, who's whether they're younger or older or anything like that, it can be a difficult thing to talk about. And I've referenced it in other things of my writing, and people have reached out to me. I really welcome people to reach out. You can go to davidobuchowski.com and find a contact link. I'm totally here to talk to people about like Crohn's disease is insidious for a few different reasons. And one of them is that it affects people very differently. Crohn's is sort of depends on where it's hitting you. So the way that it affects me doesn't necessarily affect people in the same way, but we all go through, I think, a similar experience, and it can be alienating and scary and frustrating. And I definitely encourage people that reach out. Like, I have gotten a lot of comfort from talking to other people who've been through similar things, and just to be like, wow, yeah, I get it. Yeah,
sure.
So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, not to kind of bring it full circle, like it's shared experience, right? I mean, that's basically what we've been talking about this whole time. So yeah, however you find that shared experience with another person, it's always really powerful.
I mean, that's the thing is, and I'm a raging, liberal Democrat. So on January 6th, where Trump's certification happened, which is not a happy day for me. Like, I still say this with a lot of pride, is that there's a lot that divides us. There's more that divides us than unites us, but cars is one of those things that fucking unites us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of instances where we're talking to people about cars and we have no idea who they voted for or any of the other stuff. And, I'm not saying we should turn a blind eye to bad shit or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like, look, just because someone doesn't maybe share our political views doesn't make them a bad person. And it's like, when you're talking to someone about how sweet their car is or about how weird your car is, and you start talking about and my parents had this and this history and all that, you're relating on these big life things. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. This is one of the few things that we can do still to relate to each other. I really appreciate that with Tempest. I talk to a lot of people. I have no idea where they stand on things, and it just doesn't come up.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I will say too, as someone who I end up talking to a lot of people who are opposite ideologically from me, and oftentimes things like cars or other shared experiences, you can kind of leverage those later, right? When you do get into those deeper conversations and you do find out places where you disagree, it buys you some cachet.
Totally.
Right. Because I think a lot of people, especially on the right, and a lot on the left too now, think that everyone else is an other and they're all idiots or they're all evil or whatever it is. And to be like, oh no, this person thinks that way, but they're standing in front of me and they're like a real person who I have things in common with is, a powerful thing.
As much as you're standing in front of them and you're a real person to them, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you're just like, dude, you know me, like I love cars just like you, like if I'm advocating for things like more mass transportation or whatever, it's not because I want to take your car away. It's because I want to drive on a road fast.
Yeah.
Like,
that's not clogged up with people that are commuting. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like it helps us all. Like,
Right.
and like you get that. You know me. Like I love cars. Like it doesn't even have to be spoken. And I do think that like, shared experience wise, that is one of these things where it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Like I had someone reached out to me recently who was like in his 70s, who was diagnosed with Crohn's very late in life, which is very rare. And we talked about the experience, and it was just like such a emotional and tender conversation. And it was just like, no idea who this person supports. Like, it was just like, we both have this experience. And you know what? Like, I really do think cars are a powerful thing. I mean, it's just really like we all have car stories.
Yeah. It's an incredible opportunity to be empathetic and to let somebody be empathetic towards you, right? Like it is just this like gateway to an open, like vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing that, David, for sure.
Yeah.
I have one thing, but go ahead, David.
Okay.
Well,
I call the meeting back into order because everyone has things.
There is a major thing that I have to share.
Okay.
And you guys have your screen share thing. So I think what I should do is email it. But I don't want to cut you off, Dave.
Well, while you're doing that, I think I'd like to take the opportunity to present you with a gift that we haven't had the chance to give you yet. And Ian doesn't know about this because I haven't told him, so I'm bad about that. But David, we've sourced straight from eBay. I don't know if you have one of these yet or not, but this is the original sales brochure for a Peugeot 405 MI16 from 1989. This is what they were giving to people when they bought the car.
No.
And we have this. We just haven't had a chance to give this to you physically.
Are you
yet.
kidding me?
Dave, that looks amazing.
It's in incredible shape. I just now cut the cardboard that was supporting it to protect it. And I'm going to delicately tape it right back up. But we wanted to give this to you because we super appreciate you and super appreciate what you do for the automotive community and for all of us. And I mean, there's only a tiny way that we could give you thanks, David.
Oh my God.
He's saying we. I didn't even know that was a thing that existed. So
I forgot to tell you, Ian. Okay. Yeah. But I want to, we appreciate you, David. We appreciate
I am stunned.
I hope you don't have one already.
No, I don't have one already.
Okay.
But I am so excited. Thank you so much.
No problem. We'll see if we can find a pair of white gloves for you so that you can handle it delicately.
I actually have a whole bag of them because my skin gets very dry.
Okay.
In the winter.
Yeah.
So I like to put some balm on it and then cover them in white gloves while I sleep.
Yep. There you go.
Like of us and men, you got to keep one hand soft for your.
Yep, that's right.
Betrothed.
Yeah. I have just taken, started a new job. Well, actually, I start tomorrow.
Okay. Congratulations.
Senior marketing copywriter.
Very nice.
Trying to move out of the freelance world into just a steadier thing where I don't have to, Anyway, point is, this is a downtown job, 3 miles away from where I live.
Oh.
So makes sense that maybe, especially during rush hour, during nicer weather, it might make sense to just get on a bike.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
especially where you are, there's bike lanes right there that take you downtown.
Right. And so, unfortunately, my really nice bike that I used to have, not really, well, it was nice, early 90s Japanese steel frame Panasonic was stolen. Mm-hmm. I had a good friend of mine was an avid cyclist. He had a lot of bikes. He gave me one, but he's 6'6". It was too big for me. So this was the impetus for me to sell that bike to get another one. I did get another one. I've emailed you a picture of it. Please go ahead and pull it up.
Okay, you got it. We are
downloading. I've emailed you both.
We are downloading
it's a Peugeot.
It is a Peugeot. Look at that in red too. Is that the Queen Express? What is the
Orient Express?
Orient Express. Okay. Oh, okay. Amazing.
Please feel free to share that image.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Thank you. I forgot I wasn't doing the screen share. Yeah. I was caught up in bicycle. Yes.
Now you need to see if you can source an original roof rack for your Peugeot.
I do have the catalog, the actual accessory catalog for my car, which does advertise that.
Hell yeah.
But I do I look at that.
Great. That's fantastic.
Yeah. That's the Urban Crusher right there. Yeah. Yeah. That is perfect. That is perfect. I love the font for the Peugeot right there.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So, guys, I have 2 Peugeots now.
You do. You do. Amazing. Yes. Your problems have compounded. Yeah. Guess who also has a lot of bike tools, David?
Oh, I was going to ask you about this, actually. Yeah. There's a cage at the office building I'm going to be working at, but I have 2 quick release tires, and of course I'm paranoid this is going to be stolen, so I was going to ask you about advice about how to best lock this precious baby up.
Yeah, not a problem.
Do you think I take the front wheel off, make it parallel with the rear wheel, and then lock it through the triangle?
Yep, 100%. Yep. Yeah, okay. Just throw like an old like gym sock or something like that in your bag and like throw that over the ends of the fork so they don't get chewed up when they're sitting on the pavement. And then, your old sock will repel people, right? Yeah, no, that's the move right there. Yeah, just throw something around the front fork ends, and yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, through the triangle, through the wheels, the hefty cable lock and the big U lock for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, it's odd because I've increased the number of Peugeots that I have, but I had an average of 4 wheels per Peugeot before, but now I have an average of 3 wheels per Peugeot now that I have 2 Peugeots.
You have 2 Peugeot tricycles. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
I like
average of 2 Peugeot tricycles. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How many gears between the 2? This is looking like 18 speed. Yeah.
No, this is wait, is this?
You've got 3 up front and maybe 6 in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
There you go. So a few more gears than the one behind it here in the picture. But
I will say this is the one weird thing about this. Mine is a 5-speed, the MI16, and it really feels like it wants to be a 6-speed.
Yeah, I can see that. But
importantly, this new Peugeot, how many V's does it have?
Well, it has, depending on how you turn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I like that. That's fantastic. Yes. Congratulations on the new job. Congratulations on picking up a second Peugeot.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm still after a 505. So if anyone wants to give that my way.
Yeah.
To maybe take it up to 3.5 wheels, 3 point something wheels for Peugeot.
Right.
Throw some trading wheels on this one, it'll even out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or Burley trailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Fantastic, David. Yeah.
Well, guys, I really appreciate you having me on. It's so fun to talk to you.
It's the best talking to you. We're so thankful for you, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you don't have to wait for us to ask you on. You're allowed. You have invite yourself over rights.
Yeah, kick in the podcast door. We'll be here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad that I nailed the license plate game, and I cannot wait to see that sales brochure.
Yeah, I'm going to get that to you ASAP. Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Awesome, buddy.
I think you already mentioned davidobuchowski.com.
Yes.
Tempest season 3 for sure. Go get all of that. All the music projects. Yes. Anything else you want to plug before we go?
I don't suppose so. I don't suppose so.
Your book.
What's that?
Your book.
Yeah. So my wife and I did a children's book called How Birds Sleep that was published in 2023. And I
can confirm it is a great kids book because I did a live test with this and my kids loved it and it's beautiful and really cool and well put together. So
my wife did all of the artwork by hand. The book was her idea. And
Sarah's an amazing artist.
It's won some really nice awards, like the best book. Oh yeah, there's a seal on it right there. Outstanding science trade book from National Science Teachers Associations and Children's Book Council. Best book of 2023 Children's Book Council. So definitely pick that up if you've got kids.
Yeah.
And hopefully there'll be more to come. And this is my wife's website right here. Yeah. You should definitely, Sarah Pedri, she's an amazing artist. And her stuff is awesome.
Incredible artist. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, you guys can't imagine. She just does stuff like every day, just in her sketchbook. It's ridiculous.
Isn't it crazy? Right?
Talented people are annoying.
I know.
I don't care for them.
Yeah. It's just awesome.
That's so great.
Well, David, we did it. We did a car show. Unless anyone else has any other big surprises. Okay.
We don't have a 505 for you. Sorry.
Yeah. Here it is right here. Yeah. Everybody, 720-515-1391. Send us the license plate pictures. Or if you trip over a bunch of Peugeot parts and you want to get them to David, we can help with that.
I would love for you guys to collect Peugeot sightings.
Okay. Yeah.
I would love to know sort of get me some good ideas of where people are seeing Peugeots.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. If you see a Peugeot, text 720-515-1391. Text a pic if you can snag it. If not, just tell us where you saw it. And we will get this data. We will put it in a Google sheet. And we will create a tiny little database of Peugeot sightings for you, David. Yeah.
We do have some listeners overseas, so we will probably get some from them. But yeah,
those don't count.
In the States, there's not many, I don't think.
But hey, let's put it out there.
Yeah. The Peugeot, it's just like when you take the US out of the equation, it's one of the longest running production vehicles ever. So, it goes from being the 405 goes from being rare to being workhorse.
Yes.
But I would love to know in the States where the 405 or where any Peugeot is being cited.
Yeah. It's a good question. Yeah. Text us or apexadjacent@gmail.com. Everybody, thank you. We love you. Goodbye.